In this lesson, you will learn how to configure virtual domains, VDOMs, and examine common usage examples. In this lesson, you will explore the following topics: VDOM concepts, VDOM administrators, configuring VDOMs, inter-VDOM links, best practices and troubleshooting. After completing this section, you should be able to define and describe virtual domains, VDOMs. By demonstrating competence in virtual domains, you will be able to understand the key benefits and usage cases for virtual domains. What if, more than segmenting your network, you want to subdivide policies and administrators into multiple security domains? In that case, you can enable FortiGate VDOMs, which split your physical FortiGate into multiple logical devices. Each VDOM has independent security policies and routing tables. Also, and by default, traffic from one VDOM cannot go to a different VDOM. This means that two interfaces in different VDOMs can share the same IP address without any overlapping subnet problems. When you use VDOMs, a single FortiGate appliance becomes a virtual data center of network security, UTM inspection, and secure communication devices. There are a few ways you can arrange your VDOMs. In the topology shown in this example, each network accesses the internet through its own VDOM. Notice that there are no inter-VDOM links. So, inter-VDOM traffic is not possible unless it physically leaves the FortiGate towards the internet and is rerouted back. This topology would be most suitable in a scenario where multiple customers are sharing a single FortiGate, each in their own VDOM with physically separated ISPs. Like the topology shown in the previous example, each network in this example topology sends traffic through its VDOM. However, after that, traffic is routed through the /internet VDOM. So, internet-bound traffic flows through a single pipe in the /internet VDOM. This could be suitable in a scenario where multiple customers are sharing a single FortiGate, each in their own VDOM. In this case, the internet-facing VDOM could log and monitor traffic, or provide standard services like antivirus scanning, or do both. This topology has inter-VDOM links. VDOMs are linked only with the /internet VDOM, but not with each other. If VDOM 1 needs to communicate with VDOM 3, this traffic would need to be routed through the /internet VDOM through IP routing decisions and is subject to all firewall policies. Inspection could be done by either the internet-facing or originating VDOM, depending on your requirements. Alternatively, you could split inspection so that some scans occur in the internet-facing VDOM, ensuring a common security baseline, while other more intensive scans occur in the originating VDOM. In this example topology, traffic again flows through a single pipe in the /internet VDOM towards the internet. Traffic between VDOMs doesn't need to leave the FortiGate. However, now inter-VDOM traffic doesn't need to flow through the /internet VDOM. Inter-VDOM links between VDOMs allow more direct communication. Similar to the previous example topology, inspection can be done by either the /internet or originating VDOM, depending on your requirements. Due to the number of inter-VDOM links, this example is the most complex, requiring the most routes and firewall policies. Troubleshooting meshed VDOMs can also be more time-consuming. However, meshed VDOMs also provide the most flexibility. For large businesses, inter-VDOM communication may be required. Also, inter-VDOM traffic performance may be better due to a shorter processing path, which bypasses intermediate VDOMs. Up until now, we've discussed traffic passing through FortiGate, from one VDOM to another. What about traffic originating from FortiGate? Some system daemons, such as NTP and FortiGuard updates, generate traffic coming from FortiGate. One and only one of the VDOMs on a FortiGate device is assigned the role of the management VDOM. traffic coming from FortiGate to those global services originates from the management VDOM. By default, the VDOM root acts as the management VDOM, but you can manually reassign this task to a different VDOM. Similar to a FortiGate without VDOMs enabled, the administrative VDOM should have outgoing internet access. Otherwise, features such as scheduled FortiGuard updates will fail. It is important to note that the management VDOM designation is solely for traffic originated by FortiGate, such as FortiGuard updates, and has no effect on traffic passing through FortiGate. As such, the management function can be performed by any designated VDOM. Good job! You now understand some basic concepts about VDOMs. Next, you'll learn about VDOM administrators. After completing this section, you should be able to create administrative accounts with access that is limited to one or more VDOMs. By demonstrating competence in VDOM administrators, you will be able to understand the differences between the various levels and types of VDOM administrators. If you want to grant access to all VDOMs and global settings, select super_admin as the access profile when configuring the administrator account. Similar to the account named admin, this account can configure all VDOMs. In most cases, you'll start by creating one administrator account per VDOM. That administrator will be chiefly responsible for that domain, including that VDOM's configuration backups. In larger organizations, you may need to make multiple VDOM administrators. Multiple administrators can be assigned to each VDOM. You can subdivide permissions using access profiles in order to follow best practices for segregation of duties. The converse is also possible. If required, you can assign an administrator to multiple VDOMs. To create new administrator accounts and assign them to a VDOM, click Global, System, Administrators. Good job! You now understand VDOM administrators. Next, you'll learn how to configure VDOMs. After completing this section, you will be able to configure VDOMs to split a FortiGate into multiple virtual devices. By demonstrating competence in configuring VDOMs, you will be able to effectively implement VDOMs in your FortiGate. To enable VDOMs from the GUI, click System, Settings. Then, click Enable in the Virtual Domains section. Alternatively, to enable VDOMs when you are logged into the CLI, enter the following command: config system global, set VDOM-admin enable, end. This won't reboot your FortiGate, but it will log out all active admin sessions. Enabling VDOMs restructures both the GUI and CLI, which you will see when you log in again. This also does not affect any traffic passing through FortiGate. After enabling VDOMs, by default, only one VDOM exists, the root VDOM. It's the default management VDOM. You need to add a VDOM for each of your security domains. If you're an MSSP, for example, you might add one VDOM for each client company. If you are an enterprise business, you might add one VDOM for each division of your company. The inspection mode, proxy-based or flow-based, is a per VDOM setting that defines how traffic is inspected. In a VDOM and proxy mode, FortiGate inspects the traffic acting as an implicit TCP proxy. The original client-to-server TCP session is actually split into two TCP sessions. one from the client to the FortiGate and another one from the FortiGate to the server. In a VDOM in flow-based mode, the traffic is scanned on a TCP flow basis as it passes through FortiGate. There is no implicit TCP proxy involved. The operation mode is also a per VDOM setting. You can combine transparent mode VDOMs with NAT mode VDOMs in the same physical FortiGate. After adding the additional VDOMs, you can proceed to specify which interfaces belong to each VDOM. Each interface, physical or VLAN, can belong to only one VDOM. Interfaces can be moved from one VDOM to another, provided they have no references associated with them. For example, firewall policies. Global resource limits are an example of global settings. The firmware on your FortiGate and some settings, such as system time, apply to the entire appliance. They are not specific to each VDOM. Most settings, however, can be configured to be different for each VDOM. Some examples are firewall policies, firewall objects, static routes, protection profiles, and so on. If you log in as most administrator accounts, you will enter your VDOM automatically. But if you were logged in as the account named admin, you aren't assigned to any VDOM. As such, you have access to all VDOMs. To enter a VDOM on the GUI, select the VDOM from the drop-down list at the top of the page. Inside each VDOM, the submenu should be familiar. It is essentially the same navigation menu that you had before you enabled VDOMs. However, the global settings are moved to the global menu. To access the global configuration settings from the CLI, you must enter Config Global to enter into the global context. After that, you can execute global commands and change global configuration settings. To access per VDOM configuration settings from the CLI, you must enter Config VDOM, then enter Edit, followed by the VDOM name. From the VDOM context, you can execute VDOM-specific commands and change per VDOM configuration settings. It is important to note that VDOM names are case-sensitive. If you enter the name using the incorrect case, FortiGate will create a new VDOM. Regardless of which context you are in, global or VDOM, you can use the sudo keyword to execute diagnostics commands in a context different than your current one. This allows you, for example, to execute global and per VDOM commands without switching back and forth between the global and per VDOM context. Good job! You now understand how to configure VDOMs. Next, you'll learn about inter VDOM links. After completing this section, you will be able to route traffic between VDOMs using inter VDOM links. By demonstrating competence in inter VDOM links, you will be able to effectively and efficiently route traffic between VDOMs within a FortiGate. To review, each VDOM behaves like it is on a separate FortiGate appliance. With separate FortiGates, you would normally connect a network cable and configure routing and policies between them. But VDOMs are on the same FortiGate. So how should you route traffic between them? The solution is inter VDOM links. Inter VDOM links are a type of virtual interface that route traffic between VDOMs. This removes the need to loop a physical cable between two VDOMs. In the case of a NAT-to-NAT inter VDOM link, both sides of the link must be on the same IP subnet because you are creating a point-to-point network connection. Note that similar to using inter VLAN routing, Layer 3 must be involved. You cannot create an inter VDOM link between Layer 2 transparent mode VDOMs. At least one of the VDOMs must be on. When creating inter VDOM links, you'll need to create the virtual interfaces. You must also create the appropriate firewall policies in each VDOM, just as you would if the traffic were arriving on a network cable. Otherwise, FortiGate will block it. Additionally, routes are required to properly route packets between two VDOMs. In the GUI, you create a network interface in the global settings. To create the virtual interface, click Create New, then select VDOM Link. FortiGates with NP4 or NP6 processors include inter-VDOM links that can be used to accelerate inter-VDOM link traffic. For a FortiGate with two NP4 or NP6 processors, there are two accelerated inter-VDOM links, each with two interfaces. NPU0_VLink, NPU0_VLink0, NPU0_VLink1, NPU1_VLink, NPU1_VLink0, NPU1_VLink1. These interfaces are visible from the GUI and CLI. By default, the interfaces in each inter-VDOM link are assigned to the root VDOM. To use these interfaces to accelerate inter-VDOM link traffic, assign each interface in the pair to the VDOMs that you want to offload traffic between. For example, if you have added a VDOM named new-VDOM to a FortiGate with NP4 processors, you can click System, Network, Interfaces, and edit the NPU0-VLink1 interface and set the VDOM to new-VDOM. This results in an accelerated inter-VDOM link between root and new-VDOM. Good job! You now understand inter-VDOM links. Next, you'll learn some VDOM best practices in troubleshooting. After completing this section, you will be able to limit the resources allocated globally and per VDOM. By demonstrating competence in VDOM best practices in troubleshooting, you will be able to avoid, identify, and solve common VDOM issues. Remember, VDOMs are only a logical separation. Each VDOM shares physical resources with the others. Unlike FortiGate-VM, VDOMs are not allocated and balanced with weighted vCPU cores, VRAM, and other virtualized hardware. To fine-tune performance, you can configure resource limits for each feature, IPsec tunnels, address objects, and so on, at the global level and at each VDOM level. This controls the ratio of each VDOM system resource usage to the total available resources. For example, on this FortiGate, the hardware is powerful enough to handle up to 2,000 IPsec VPN tunnels. The FortiGate is configured with 3 VDOMs. VDOM 1 and VDOM 2 don't use IPsec VPN tunnels often, so they are allowed to have up to 50 tunnels each. VDOM 3, however, uses VPN extensively. Therefore, this FortiGate will be configured to allow VDOM 3 to have up to 1,900 tunnels. Additionally, 1,000 of those tunnels will be guaranteed. Configure your FortiGate with global limits for critical features such as sessions, policies, and others. Then, configure each VDOM with its own quotas and minimums within the global limits. On the GUI, you can click Global, System, VDOM to see the VDOM monitor. It displays the CPU and memory usage for each VDOM. Best practice dictates that you should usually avoid unnecessary security holes. Do not provide super_admin access if possible. Instead, restrict each administrator to their relevant domain. That way, they cannot accidentally or maliciously impact other VDOMs, and any damage or mistakes will be limited in scope. With VDOMs configured, Administrators have an extra layer of permissions and may have problems accessing the desired information. If an administrator cannot gain access, check the following. Confirm the administrator's VDOM. Each administrator account, other than the super_admin account, is tied to one or more specific VDOMs. That administrator is not able to access any other VDOM. It may be possible they are trying to access the wrong VDOM, one that they do not have permissions for. Confirm the VDOM's interfaces. An administrator can access their VDOM only through interfaces that are assigned to that VDOM. If interfaces on that VDOM are disabled or unavailable, there will be no method of accessing that VDOM by its local administrator. The super_admin will be required to either bring up the interfaces, fix the interfaces, or move another interface to that VDOM to restore access. Confirm the VDOM's admin access. As with all FortiGate devices, administration access on the VDOM's interfaces must be enabled for that VDOM's administrators to gain access. For example, if SSH is not enabled, that is not available to administrators. To enable admin access, the super_admin clicks Global, Network, Interfaces, and enables admin access for the interface in question. Confirm trusted host and IP. If trusted hosts are enabled on the administrator account, ensure the user is connecting from the correct, specified host address, and that no intermediate devices are performing NAT functions on the connection. Besides ping and traceroute, there are additional tools for troubleshooting your VDOM configurations. The primary tools for VDOM troubleshooting include packet sniffing and debugging the packet flow. Perform a sniffer trace. When troubleshooting networks, it helps to look inside the headers of packets to determine if they are traveling along the expected route. Packet sniffing can also be called a network tap, packet capture, or logic analyzing. Sniffer also indicates what traffic is entering or leaving the egress and ingress interfaces in all VDOMs. This makes it extremely useful for troubleshooting inter VDOM routing issues. Debug the packet flow. Traffic should come into and leave the VDOM. If you have determined that network traffic is not entering and leaving the VDOM as expected, debug the packet flow. Debugging can only be performed using CLI commands. This tool provides more granular details for help in troubleshooting inter VDOM traffic, as it gives details of routing selection, NAT, and policy selection. Congratulations, you have completed this lesson. Now, you will review the objectives that you covered in this lesson. This lesson covered the following objectives. Define and describe VDOMs. Create administrative accounts with the access limited to one or more VDOMs. Configure VDOMs to split a FortiGate into multiple virtual devices. Route traffic between VDOMs. Limit the resources allocated globally and per VDOM.